All right, nerds, we are in the Nerds for Humanity live stream with Michael Maxsenti, who is running for Congress. You might remember Michael from previous appearances when Michael and I were talking about Common Sense Party and Forward Party. Now he's running as a Republican, which kind of like made my eyebrows go up like, what? So, Michael, welcome back, and how have you been, buddy?
Hi, Tom. It's great to be back. I think this is the fifth time we've talked on the show. I think this is our fifth time. And I love the fact that you're up in the Bay Area and quote a center-left audience for the most part. I love our people, and so now I'm looking forward to updating our conversation.
Yeah, well, tell me a little bit about the decision to run, and then what party to run in. I'm still sad that the Common Sense Party didn't take off, but give me a little bit of the backstory. Like, how did you decide to go for it?
Well, very quickly, the decision to move back to the Republican Party, because I had been a lifetime Republican, which I left when I realized that the problems behind why our country bailed out the banks while 8 million plus Americans lost their homes, why over the next 6 months we could not come together on affordable quality health care. And that's what got me started then to realize is that maybe this was my time to give back, since I didn't have to go to Vietnam like so many of my buddies did. And serve in a war like my father and that generation, my parents' generation had. And I quickly learned that it was the corruption at the core of both parties, the leadership of both parties. And that's why I chose to help work in the reform sector for the last 15 years. And to do that, I had to become an independent, because it was the leadership of both parties that we were trying to fix the system and the concept of duopoly. Well, after realizing that from the outside, all of the efforts by so many from Ross Perot on were not effective, including the Common Sense Party and Forward Party, and all have yet to been able to penetrate successfully inside the gates of the system, that the only way to run and have a chance to actually make an impact and help make change was to get inside the system. And so I wasn't comfortable with that until I woke up in the middle of the night, and I went back and I dug through my desk, and in an envelope that had been there since Rebellious Truths days was a couple of papers in this envelope for Rebellious Truths, one of which was I was in 1993 a delegate to the California Republican Convention, and I had torn from the front page of its program. It says, "I am a Republican because," and if I read to our audience without saying I'm a Republican, I said I'm a member of this party, and I read you any or all of those 8 principles, I bet 95% of the audience would say, "Where in the heck's that party? I'll join that party. It's about freedom. It was about equality, etc." And those were the founding principles that Abraham Lincoln and the Republican Party was formed on to save our nation 150 years ago and free the slaves. And I read that, and then I read through some things from Empower America that I had in there that I'd saved from the mid 90s. And I said, you know what? I can rejoin the Republican Party to help take it back to its founding principles, which are the founding principles that saved our nation once and are needed right now, in my opinion, to save the nation again. And one thing, let me add to this, Tom, is one thing that I hope that the audience will listen to this and consider what I'm about to say carefully. You know, you and I and all the work for all these people over so many years was focused on breaking through the two-party system, the duopoly. And the duopoly clearly was the uniparties, if you will, the two parties that had really behind the scenes were equally as corrupt and were being manipulated and controlled by the same special interest lobbyists, et cetera, and own self-interest. So don't get me wrong, and self-interest. Well, what has clearly become apparent to more and more people is that the real struggle is not the duopoly of the Republican Democrat. That's what they want us to think of. The real duopoly is the people, the populace, the people, 80+% of Americans against those global corporatists, those political, economic elites who see themselves above our humanity, that see a new world order that they just coincidentally happen to be the new lower G gods of. So the real duopoly is the people against these corporate globalist interests who seek a new world order that goes above and beyond our sovereignty, our humanity.
All right. So I remember us talking in the past about, the old, like the Republican Party that used to be about, freedom and equality and sort of dignity and the, how you comport yourself. And I'm looking at the current occupant of the Oval Office and the leader of the Republican Party. And this is a guy who, is not for a balanced budget, does not believe in, his favorite word is tariffs, which is a, import tax. And he's very anti-NATO as well. Like, these aren't things that I would think of from like John McCain's Republican Party or the, Bob Dole or the Straight Talk Express or Jack Kemp. Remember those guys?
Well, oh yeah, but take Jack Kemp out of the group you just named.
Okay.
Because those others, and including with that the Bushes, the Cheneys, the rest of them, they were part of that and are still part of, those who are still alive. They're part of that one world order people. They're the ones who sold out our country. They're the ones who sold us out. Everything that Ross Perot, or nearly everything, without going back and exactly everything he said, nearly everything Ross Perot predicted back in 1992 has come true. And it's been extenuated with just different cover stories and languages by the leadership of both of our parties over the past 30 plus 40 years. Those are the people that sold us out. They're the ones who sold out to these globalist interests and have stripped away the middle class, have taken our jobs and offshored them for one reason: more profits for the corporate people, etc. These companies operate outside of our laws and above our governments. And so, the Cheneys, the Bushes, the rest of them, the Obamas, the Bidens, and the rest of them sold our asses out.
So, Michael, I hear you. I'm sympathetic to the Perot argument. I remember the predictions of the giant sucking sound of a job.
Clearly.
I remember. And so
I got to vote for him, by the way. You're too young, probably, too.
No, I wasn't able. My dad was a Perot guy.
Yeah. I even have still have a T-shirt and his book that he autographed for me.
Yeah, I did. Even as a child, I liked his charts and data.
Yeah. Voodoo stick.
Yeah. Now here's the thing, though. Like, even if we took the position that you can't just import stuff from other countries that undercut like American jobs, especially maybe if these other countries don't allow us to export to them as easily. Okay, that's fair. That doesn't explain putting tariffs on things like coffee or bananas, or putting tariffs on countries where we have a surplus with them. This is like the problem I have with the Trump administration. There's usually some validity to his complaints, but the way he implements his changes, it's very it's like a teenager or like a junior high student. Like there's no attention to detail, there's no precision, there's no thoroughness. It's just like chaos. And I'm curious, like if you made it to Congress as a member of the Republican caucus, I've seen no one in the Republican Party ever even maybe of all people, Marjorie Taylor Greene, maybe her, but and then maybe Massey.
Yeah,
but the rest of them don't really. I've never heard them say anything that's like, "Hey, we see things a little bit differently than the president." They're just lockstep, whatever he wants.
Let me challenge the audience and yourself to get a better understanding of Trump and his tactics is to go read his book, which I am in the middle of, actually. I haven't even finished it yet, but it was highly recommended to me, and I finally broke down and started to read it, and about halfway through it, but it's hard to find the time. But anyhow, read The Art of the Deal, and I guarantee if you just read the first couple of chapters, you will have a totally different perspective on why the tactics he uses and in their tactics to be able to accomplish goals. And so for people who aren't New Yorkers, people who come from, like I'm in California, his style from the outside is abhorrent to most people, including myself. But when you read The Art of the Deal and you realize those are specific tactics that he has used, and one, he enjoys being this flamethrower. He enjoys being, but his main goal is to succeed at whatever the goal is. And he uses these extreme tactics by most people's standards to achieve those goals. And one of the things I try to point out to people, if you know anything at all, and I'm not a big sailor, but if you know anything about sailing or even hiking, mountain climbing, you oftentimes you have to have a vision of where you want to go. But to get there, oftentimes you have to go backwards in a direction that's totally seeming backwards to get around an obstacle, or to wait to get into another stream, or to get around a particular mountain before you can get to the next one. So what appears to be things that are opposite, opposed to how can you possibly do that if you're trying to get to this destination or goal. But you've got to think of it in those broader terms of tacking into the winds, navigating around those valleys and cliffs and stuff to get to your goal. And Trump, in my opinion, has proven himself in this last year in particular, and what he did at Davos and what he continues to do. And I have friends who inside of there who work directly with him, and confidentially have told me behind the scenes, he lives up to everything he's promised from Kennedy on down that he would do. The way he gets there seems to be, but he's working there. And tariffs, by the way, this issue of tariffs is exactly what Abraham Lincoln used to help us get through the Civil War, was tariffs. And tariffs, ideally in a perfect world, which we obviously don't have, you would have just open free trade amongst all countries, but you can't have that right now. Someday in the evolution of humanity, hopefully that'll occur, but we're a long way from it. So tariffs are a very strategic tool that we allowed and put in place to help rebuild the rest of the world on the backs of the American economy and people and taxpayers. It's now, folks, we've got to rebuild our country and put America first. And folks, we're no longer going to be able to allow you to take advantage of our people and our country, because we need to get our country fixed. We need to change the way Washington does business, and we need to change the way you all, talking internationally, have done business with us. And now it's a big, they're all crying blues. And the specific example you gave of coffee and some of those things, those are caught up in the short term, and people are always interested in their immediate short-term gain or loss. Well, you got to think longer, folks. This is about rebuilding America and bringing back new jobs that will replace, for people, a place to work when AI is stripping away huge swaths of jobs. We need to have other jobs for people that will help us rebuild our country and provide security and opportunity for our own people right now.
Well, let's hope you're right, Michael, that there's some grand strategy here. I mean, I have members of my immediate family who are Trump supporters, and every
I'm glad to
time
hear that, because you still talk to them apparently.
it's difficult, but I do. Every time he does something crazy, they always, which is daily, yeah. They always say, "Oh, you don't understand. This is 4D chess. Like, there must be a reason he's saying this." And I'm like, "Oh my God, if I were at work and every time I screwed up, I was like, listen, you just need to trust me. It's all part of my strategy." I don't know how that would work. I'm not going to try that. But let's move on to another topic, which is, as a former Republican myself back in the 90s, I was a big believer in like integrity and honesty and character. Character matters. Like, that was like a slogan in one of the campaigns. And I gotta say, Michael, this guy, like renaming Dulles Airport after himself, or saying there's a new Trump class of battleships like back in World War II, or the Trump Kennedy Center, or all the crypto. I think he's made over $1 billion with his crypto stuff. And the $50 million payout from Amazon to Melania for that documentary. Like, you gotta agree, like, there used to be a standard, which is like, you don't do anything that even has the mere appearance of impropriety. He has crossed that line and nobody's holding him accountable.
Well, Tom, I don't mean to interrupt, but
go ahead. Yes.
Integrity and truth is something that I've been fighting for 15. But to say that Trump has done something that is not in keeping with what Biden, Obama, Bush did, in terms of how particularly Obama and Biden, Nancy Pelosi, and I could name all the ones on the right too. It's not one side or the other. How they go into Congress and come out, hugely wealthy a few years later. And these presidents, look at how many properties Obama, how many jobs that he had, and look at how many properties he has, an oceanfront, big, the lack of integrity that consumes the vast majority, not all, but the vast majority of all of our leadership of in this country right now, and not just in the corporate world, in the social media. The word truth and integrity, for the most part, has been devastated and accepted lies. People are willing to accept lies knowingly. So, and what the media has been willing to do and say just perpetuates much of this problem, because most all of them are lying through their teeth or take selective facts, and you, depend on the narrative you're in, you're only hearing what they want you to know to help them win the thing. And the biggest thing they're trying to do, as we all know, is take down Trump and do exactly what they did in 2018, so they can grind all these changes to a halt. And yet, what have both parties delivered before? Trump is actually doing exactly what he said he would do. Promises made, promises kept. He's working his butt off to do exactly what he said he would do going into it. Now, these issues of the money and stuff, yeah, I wish it was different and transparent, but it's no different than Biden and his family and the riches they got, Obama, etc., and the Bush and those folks. So we have to clean it up, and integrity is something that I will be fighting to change the rules in Congress. And I won't go there naively thinking that I'm one alone can do some major change, but I'll be going there to work with people like those in No Labels who are committed to this kind of change. They need leadership and they need help and more reinforcements.
All right. I've been beating you up about Trump long enough.
Oh, you're not beating me up. I'm okay with it, because it's it's questions that are on the top of a lot of people's minds.
Yeah.
And if you listen to particular narratives in the media, that's all you're being told. Instead of the successes of the tariffs have already brought, you're only being given examples of the individual flaws at the surface level.
Let's talk about, I saw on your website that you're an advocate of making America healthy again.
Absolutely.
And I'm curious, what kind of healthcare reform would you like to advocate for if you were elected? We were promised something that would be better, cheaper, and more accessible and effective than Obamacare about, I think, 15 years ago by the current occupant of the White House. And I haven't, I mean, there's the Trump, like most favored nation pricing, like that's a good start, but that is not reforming our healthcare system. That's negotiating with pharma companies on pricing. I remember RFK, when he was confirmed, he said chronic health, like chronic disease is going to be a major focus. I'm curious, like, what do you want to do if you get there, like to help Americans get better healthcare?
Well, first and foremost, the insurance companies, Obamacare, as much as it gave us a short-term thing, what it did was it enriched dramatically the insurance companies and the medical industry at the expense of the American people. We pay more than double almost every single other major country in the world in our healthcare. We've lost 6 years of longevity in the last 20 years to Europe. Our healthcare, our health as Americans is the worst of any major developed nation in the world by far. So first thing I'd say to people is you're not going to go to Disneyland next year and all of a sudden say, look around and go, wow, look at how much healthier everybody is. But what I would go there to specific to answer your question is to codify the kind of changes that is being led by Bobby Kennedy and the MAHA people, Dr. Oz and the rest of them. They're making incredible changes in the pesticide laws, how we do some farming practices, the processing practices, but specific to driving down healthcare. If we get Americans healthier, that's going to dramatically, that's the second biggest cost to everybody behind housing is medical. And so getting America healthy physically, and Bobby goes beyond that, and I will as well, not just physically, but mentally, spiritually, economically, and environmentally. It's about healing it. But on the medical level alone, changing and flipping that food chart, getting people to start recognizing how to eat healthy again and giving them the opportunity to, and taking away government dollars that is allowing people to, forcing people into poor choices. It's about freedom, and it's about giving people healthier options and the information to eat healthier. And I see it wonderfully in around me and families and everybody talking now about what to eat, how to eat, instead of the processed food that's been sickening us. And to see a guy like Mike Tyson tell his story is helping wake people up to the connection that those who, like myself and others who tried to maintain health, have had between what you eat and what your body's health is. So I'm excited about the things, and I will try to codify the work that's being done so that when you have the next change in administration of these departments, they can't come in and flip it back because they're being bought off by these corporations and lobbyists that they have demonstrated. I mean, if you look around at the job that our people in the FDC and the rest of them have done, for most of them, they did a terrible job. Look at the results of what they have done for the last to our country, allowed this to happen. So we're flipping it, and it takes time though to see the results, and that's why it's so important that we continue on this process, so that it takes time to get rid of all those Cheetos that have already been processed that are on everybody's shelves, to get rid of the habit of people developed of those kind of snack foods. It takes time to see the results, but we're underway, and I'm excited about the changes. And this light here is bothering the heck out of me. I keep moving around. It's coming in from my side window in my home office here.
These are California problems.
Thank goodness.
Yeah. When I hear MAHA, I understand the desire to reduce the amount of processed foods and food dyes. Like, I'm all for that. I don't think that's going to solve our core problem, which is, to me, there's two things. One is we have a system that is a healthcare system that's fee for service, where healthcare providers are motivated to do things to you after you get sick. They don't really get compensated well enough to help you prevent problems. And then secondly, we as citizens and patients would have to change our lifestyle. Like, to your point, you can't eat like a bag of Cheetos and a thing of corn syrup Coke. Like, that is not good for you. And yes, it tastes good and it brings you a little bit. Yeah, it's convenient and it's pretty cheap. Corn syrup is subsidized by the federal government. But that's a tall order to say to people. Like, I mean, you watch any NFL game and all the commercials are either Pizza Hut and Coke or pharmaceuticals to treat your heart disease. And it's like, why are we
selling you stuff to get you sick, and then they're selling you some pill or shot to get, and you go, gee, Blackstreet, Vanguard, these people, these same big corporations, gee, by the way, they own almost every single one of those companies in the controlling interest of. It's a closed loop system that they've got us in.
Yeah. All right. Now let's talk about your district. You are running in a +3 to +6 Democratic district, right? Or
it is technically a D+4 now. The new after Prop 50.
Okay, D+4. So you have a shot. I mean, that's not guaranteed, but it's a tough time to run as a Republican this cycle, just because of the previous winner of the presidential. Generally, their party doesn't do that well in midterms. Why will you kind of buck that trend? Why will you be the one where they're like, well, but in this district, a Republican actually won?
Couple of things. First and foremost, people, as I described the duopoly before, people recognize that in our district, those who see Dave Min is a prototypical career politician who rubber stamps every one of the Democratic machine. And when I say Democratic machine, people, please don't take me wrong if you're a Democrat, because it's not the people. It's the same problem that we had with the leadership of the Republican Party. What is the Democratic Party when they were in total control? What the hell did they do and delivered? Speaking of Obamacare, speaking of the years under Biden, where are we as a nation? We've been given a lot of rhetoric, but where are the results that were delivered by either party? So please understand, when I say Democrat, it's not the Democratic people and it's not the principles of the Democrats. But what the party has delivered, and what they say are vastly different. And he is a trained attorney, like almost all, and they're some of our brightest minds, and most of my friends are attorneys or in real estate, it seems. But he's trained to be an advocate, how to manipulate the facts, the jury, the judge, the witness, and public opinion to do one thing: win for their team, even when they know or their side is wrong and it's prolonging the problem or they're guilty. We need people to go to Congress who have proven credibility and skills to bring people together and create solutions to problems, who are not there to make a win, they're there to make a solution. So how specifically different in this district? We have, the district breaks down now as 36% Democrat, 32% Republican, and 30% independents. Those independents are the true ones that decide who will go to Congress and who won't. And the independents left both parties because of their dissatisfaction with the results and the rhetoric that both were given. I've lived and worked in this district for 50 years, both in business, where, for the audience real quick, I was the youngest president of a division of American Standard at 33. I was chosen as a COO for a joint venture startup for Nissan Corporation, where I built and launched a business for them here in Irvine. After my son came along late in life, I took an opportunity and I walked away from a big, high-paying corporate job to start a business. I didn't know exactly what it was when I did it. I started a publishing business that I built into the second largest tourism publishing business in California over the next 20 years. That was what I was doing in the business world. While I was doing that, I was on Children's Hospital Board of Directors for 14 years. I created for them the biggest fundraiser in their history after raising their longest running event into its highest levels of profit, net profit to the hospital 2 years in a row. Then I created the biggest fundraiser. While I was doing that, I coached 17 sports teams, 18 sports teams, and had a club baseball team and was president of Laguna Beach Little League. So those were things that I've been doing in my business and in my community, always turning around businesses, creating businesses successful. I was on the executive board for the Tourism Council for 14 years, creating solutions through 9/11 and how we got awarded for the fastest turnaround in the nation. So I know how to bring people together to create solutions and have the vision to get us to someplace. So that's one thing. And the independent community, they're looking for people that they can trust, who've got deep roots in the community. And I have the support of some of the biggest names and organizations in the independent community who worked alongside of me for the past 15 years and know that I am dedicated first and foremost to this country, to our Constitution, and to truth and integrity. And they know that what I say, I will give it 100% of my effort to do. And I have successfully done significant things within the business world and the community. And I'm not going there about myself. At my age, I'm obviously not going there to do anything other than help change the rules, help give the support and codify those things that we need to codify that are constitutional so that we can have the long-term results of these that the people can see and feel in their lives. And I believe I can win the independent vote, and the Republican support that I have will hopefully come out equal to what the Democrat base is. And then it's who wins the independent vote. And that's where I'm confident that we can. And
all right, Michael, let me play a sort of a role play with you. I obviously am not in Southern California. I think I prefer the northern part, but I know we won't go into that debate.
Oh, I was born and raised in Petaluma. I love Northern California. I got roots in both. I love.
God bless you. God bless
lived
you.
in Mill Valley. I got to live in Mill Valley back those in the days back in the early 70s.
Oh, nice. I actually did some community service for the Mill Valley city government.
Yeah, I love Mill Valley, that area, in Petaluma and Sebastopol. And,
Okay. So let's just make believe I were in your district. And let's say I'm one of those 30% who are in that independent category. My view would be, okay, maybe this Min guy, he's been there for a while. Like, let's get some fresh ideas. And maybe I say, okay, I might consider a Republican because this Maxsenti guy he seems like a little bit of a, independent thinker. The concern I would have, if I'm one of those independents who really is uncomfortable with the president, is that, but you know what, if we put a Republican in there, they're just going to rubber stamp everything this guy does. And even if you like Trump, you got to also love our Constitution and the fact that there are co-equal branches for a reason. Like, we don't have a king, there was a whole Revolutionary War over that. So the founding fathers were onto something. How would you help an independent feel better about voting for you if they're concerned that the Johnson kind of caucus, they just do whatever it seems like, they don't really ever push back on anything?
Well, first off, what you just said about not pushing back against the president, you can say the exact same thing that happened the previous 4 years under Biden, and you go back when there was a Congress under Obama and Bush. Okay. So that is something just for people to reflect on and why they left both parties, why the independents are there because of that. But I'm going there first and foremost to only take a knee. I personally have a deep faith. I only take a knee to God and our Constitution. I'm not there to take a knee to any special interest or anybody else, and I won't. And I've got a lot of things that prove that I've lived my life based on principles. But their concern about the presidency, go back to that duopoly example and where we're headed and the corporate interest. Trump is about America first. And it's hard for some people to see it because of the rhetoric that's being put out by the narratives that they listen to, that cherry pick examples or don't tell them the complete truth about what's going on, or even a part of it often. Trump's doing some great things for putting America first. He stood up there in Davos. Look at what he's already done to cap off on interest rates. Look at what he's done about lowering costs on our pharmaceutical. He's doing a lot of things with tariffs to bring jobs back, et cetera. He's truly putting America first, and they need time for those policies to take hold. Or do we want to just go back into this grind of continuing sliding down that slope of devastation of the middle class, our health, et cetera, that no one was taking on, no one was really changing. They were giving a lot of rhetoric to it, but the results were clearly a downhill slide of our nation for many years and many administrations.
Michael, let me ask you a different way. Is there anything that he's done that you disagree with?
Oh, the execution of some of the policies, obviously the execution of Doge was unfortunate the way Doge happened. But what was still revealed was the depths of the corruption of the use of our taxpayer dollars and our institutions. That's something that needs to be done very differently. And David Walker, who's been a financial consultant and friend of mine that we've been working on this together since 2011, he's somebody who's will help us on this. So I would have changed the way Doge was approached, but not go away from it, because we need to do Doge our entire system with good audits and transparency, et cetera. And there's lots of ways to continue to do it in a better way. We'll go back to that. Also, the execution of the policies on ICE, and those are now being addressed. I'm very confident to say, and this is something I'm sure most of your audience is going to find hard to accept, because they probably don't even have a clue of this, what I'm about to say. January 6th, folks, we now have hard evidence that's been proven in courts, et cetera, to over 275 plants, activist plants, that were paid for to be there to do exactly create the violence that happened. Okay. I have no hard evidence yet. I think it'll come forth, but if you were trying to stop Trump, those same forces, those same people, what would you be doing right now? You'd be planting in the 22,000 new ICE agents that have been hired since they started this program. What would you be doing? You'd be doing exactly that. You'd be looking for every opportunity you could to create extreme violence and do shit that would be all over the news. What happened in Minnesota and those deaths is obviously tragic, but those deaths also can be directly attributed to the people out there creating the problems with ICE. So it's a bad situation. It's being addressed, but the highest numbers of people actually being taken out of this country who are here illegally, who are here as criminals with records in states like Texas and Florida and others, they have the lowest rates of any of the problems. And you never even hear about the overwhelming success rates of those, but you sure hear the examples when somebody does something as tragic and terrible as what happened to those two individuals in Minnesota and elsewhere. And so the way ICE has been executed is being addressed, needs to be addressed, and Homan and others. And Homan was the same guy that led Obama's extradition of over 4 million illegals under his administration. And now he's in charge of this, and he's addressing it. So those are just two things that I know are on top of mind for people, is those two issues that I would take exception to the execution of those. But again, to allow all those millions of people that were allowed to cross our border during the Biden administration illegally that came in here, so many of them right out of prisons and mental institutions in other parts of the world, they're crushing us. And promises made, trying to keep them.
All right, you introduced some spicy topics here.
I always do that.
I love it. So, by the way, it's good that even though we disagree on a lot of things, like we can still talk. Like I wish more of the country could do this, but yeah, that's not the example that's being set by leadership of both parties. But at any rate, let me ask you this. These plants that you think existed, is your assertion that they were employed by the government, or where did these plants come from that you are?
Some of them were direct government employees in the FBI.
Okay.
Others were from NGOs that were
so
funded.
There's this guy, Kash Patel. He's in charge of the FBI. If this existed, like, why doesn't he come out and just reveal it?
There's a couple of assumptions that I'll make, just for the reasons why we still don't know the truth of Kennedy's assassination, just like we don't know the truth of Martin Luther King's assassination. Mm-hmm. I'll go back because those are 60 plus years ago. If the truth of the depths of the corruption and forces that are trying to control our government and our people and our economy were known, civil disobedience would break out in a big way. And I believe one of the major reasons why we still don't know the facts, same thing with Epstein, is because it would break down people's trust even more than already is there. And so they're trying to rebuild it, clean it out, and rebuild it so that we have, and you've heard this term from me for when we first met, a responsible revolution to reform our political system and maintain civil discourse with as little loss of life and property as possible. And so I believe those are some of the major reasons why we still don't know the facts about out publicly. I have my own assumptions and 9/11 and others of things that have been done in this country that would make people sick if they knew what has been going on and who's been behind some of these major disasters and catastrophes. So I do want to change the subject just briefly, and I'll point out over my shoulder here the Iranian flag, which I greatly appreciate you accommodating a change, because I was invited to have the opportunity to speak today at a hugely important event that I'm really disappointed in that it's very silent on the Democratic side, what's going on in Iran. But Iran is the linchpin, in my opinion, and many others, to the solutions of the Middle East. And the Iranian people and how the Islamic Republic and the Ayatollah, how they captured this country back 46 years, 47 years ago, and have been just obliterating any semblance of true freedom of their people, and now butchering thousands of people that are trying to overthrow them peacefully. There's a big rally. There's a global activities going on today in Munich, Toronto, and Los Angeles, a global call to action to bring forth the Iranian people and the support for the Iranian people who are amazingly courageous, fighting and dying to regain their freedom and dignity. So I have the honor to go up there and speak, and I'll be speaking up there in a couple of hours, and I appreciate you accommodating moving this back an hour so I could get there easier.
Yeah, no problem. I know the traffic down in SoCal is tough.
Yeah. It's the worst part of living in Southern California is its traffic.
Yeah, yeah. How do I reconcile the argument that we got to focus on American jobs, American problems here, American healthcare, American education, all that good stuff, with this discussion of Iran? Like, I'll stipulate, I'm sure it is very important in the Middle East, but what are you advocating? Like, what are you suggesting that the U.S. do about it?
Continue to put forth the same pressure that Trump started when his first administration, to clamp down on the ability of the Islamic Republic to fund what they refer to as the axis of terror, which is Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Houthis. That Middle East problem and the disruption that's in the Middle East between Israel, Palestine, and the rest of them, we've got to solve that problem for the sake of the people that live there and for the peace in the world. And so Trump is working with the crown, the royal prince, Raza Pahlavi, on a strategy to how we can help them collapse that regime without putting any of our boots on the ground or any of our people at risk militarily, and with very little or any economic cost to us, because if we can help solve the Middle East problem, that will dramatically help here in America with so many different issues. Think of all the demonstrations, riots, and problems caused over this issue of Palestine and Israel and what's going on there. Middle East is a problem.
Michael, I know you got to go, so I want to ask you a series of quick fire questions. They're gonna be hot potatoes, just so you know. But I do want you to give a brief answer. I mean, ideally yes or no, but you could give me some conditions if you.
I'll give you a little context if I feel it's important.
Yeah. Okay. So, first question: do you support continued U.S. military and financial aid to Ukraine?
Without giving much context, basically that peace has to come about, and we'd have to do everything possible to bring a peace settlement there as quickly as possible. And NATO and their expansion of NATO was the crux of the problem that we promised them, Russia, that we would never do, and we've broken that promise repeatedly and put them right on the nuclear weapons they want to put, and then NATO right on the doorstep of Russia. So, but that has to come to peace, and Trump is doing everything he possibly can to bring them both to the table. So peace through strength is imperative.
Okay. Do you support a pathway to citizenship for undocumented immigrants currently in the United States?
Yes, with some real specific caveats. I do believe in that. And I know that's controversial from a lot of people, if you will, quote, on my side. But our immigration system has been a travesty for years. In 1986, under Tip O'Neill and the Democrat-controlled Congress, they passed major comprehensive reforms. Reagan signed them into law, and they've never been fully implemented or even close to it, because it benefited, for various reasons, both parties that have driven down our wages, driven up costs of social services, and a lot. But so the system itself, first off, you got to close the border off. Second is, anybody who's been in this country, who came in and who can prove that they have been here as a law-abiding citizen, paying taxes, and are here being good citizens, raising families appropriately, I believe we need to provide a legal pathway for them because we want people to become citizens, learn about our country, become comfortable, safe in this country. But on the other hand, if you come here illegally and you cannot prove that you are somebody who is trustworthy, raising a family, contributing to our society, no, you need to get the heck out and you need to be gone. And so there needs to be a really good comprehensive system that can allow for speedy, efficient clearance of people who got here. When did you come? Under what circumstances? What have you done since you've been here? What were your circumstances that brought you here? And if you're a good, law-abiding, paying citizen to this country and contributing, yeah, we need to figure out a way to get them into our system so that they can become a true American. And then other people, they got to be gone, and it can't be fast enough.
All right, 2 more questions for you, Michael. This one is one that no congressional candidate feels comfortable answering.
By the way, Tom, I need to go.
Good for you. All right, but I'll ask you anyway. Should Social Security and Medicare benefits be cut, taxes raised, or both to fix the deficit? Because as you probably know, like, we spend more on those things than we take in right now.
Oh, that's a great question. And it's a hugely important issue. Social Security and Medicare cannot be cut, but the rolls on who's getting it dramatically have to be cleaned up so that only U.S. citizens, only people who are here legally and have qualified get them, that they're not being abused, because that's a huge, huge, huge waste. So we can't cut them because people have made life decisions based upon those. And raising taxes, there's a lot of things that absolutely have to be done. First and foremost, it's been talked about for as long as I can remember, reforming our tax code that's never been done. The transaction taxes, we're taxing all of labor, but not taxing transactions. The way we approach raising money for the government has to dramatically be changed, and taxing everybody's labor and not taxing transactions and gains like that have to be totally rethought, and that can be done. We had lots of big reforms that were never implemented from some of the commissions done over the years, so that has to be attacked, how we raise our money and who's contributing what to it. One of the things that President Trump was signed into legislation is to at least a small beginning, but it's almost infinitesimal, is no tax on tips and overtime. But those are small potatoes in comparison to the dramatic overhaul that we're way overdue for on our approach to raising revenues for the government.
All right, last question for you, and then I'll let you go. But of course, later, any closing remarks after this question are welcome. Do you support ranked choice voting?
I believe that we absolutely, first off, I believe our voting system needs to be dramatically overhauled as well, starting with voter ID and making sure that any new voter registrations are true citizens of our country, and anybody who goes to vote is truly an American citizen with simple ID. But you can't get on an airplane, you can't cash a check, you can't go get a prescription at a drugstore without having an official ID. So asking people to vote with an ID so that we can make sure that those who vote are properly here in our country to do so that any of those votes that aren't don't negate a citizen's vote. So, and I apologize. I got off track a little bit there with your question.
Our ranked choice voting. Well, let's make believe you and I, Michael, let's make believe you and I were in Congress, and I come over to you from across the aisle. And I say, hey, Michael, we go back. I know you want this ID thing. That's very important to you. How about we co-sponsor a bill that requires ID to vote
and to register.
And to register. Okay, fine. But it also declares Election Day a national holiday. So
love it.
God,
I love it.
And wait a minute, wait, there's more. And that we support open primaries using ranked choice voting for congressional elections.
Yeah, I love that. And proportional representation.
Mm-hmm.
We need to modernize our whole government. We've got great technology to do that. And we need to do that. That's absolutely correct. And let's get down to business and get citizens assemblies. One of the things that I will do as quickly as possible after elected is to establish a process for citizens assemblies in my district so that I can get a true in-depth representation of the citizenry on issues and their voice on it so that it has a meaningful impact on what I know, learn, and vote for. Those are things I really want to work on. And that's where going there, not to create a career for myself, going there, I can go there and work on these kind of rules issues and these kind of things as well.
So let's say you and I were there and we're co-sponsoring this like Voting Reform and Transparency for Democracy Act, or I don't know what we call it. We call something. And
the Tom and Mike show.
That's right. And it's about to pass, but only by one vote. And you get a call from the Oval Office saying, listen, I'm not for this. And if you support this bill, like I will make sure you get primaried, and massive amounts of money is going to go against unelecting you. So good luck in your one term in Congress. What would you say?
I will vote my principles always. And I would sit down and say, Mr. President, let me help explain to you why in depth. Let's have a meeting and sit down and present to you the reasons why I'm for this. And I'll listen to why you think it's wrong, but let's have an in-depth conversation about it. But my vote is on principles. I will always put voting on my principles first and leave it up to the electorate to decide if I am somebody they want to put back in office. I do believe in the House of Representatives having a 2-year term so that they're held as closely as possible accountable to the people to do what they say. And that's where, like a citizens assemblies will provide the answer for an issue from the citizens' perspective. And if I voted against it, it's my obligation to go back to those people and be able to explain why I went against their decision. And then it's their choice to either hear what I said and go, oh, wow, I didn't realize that, or that was information we didn't have access to and reasons for it. And now they either say, yeah, okay, Maxsenti, we saw it differently, but now you've explained it to us, we'll continue to vote for you, or no, go to heck, Maxsenti, you're out of here and be gone. And that's what the system's designed to do, is have citizen leaders held responsible to their constituents. And I'm all for that.
Michael, I think we should end on this note of common ground and allow you to get on the road, attend your next event. I hope if you get elected that you will come back on the Nerds for Humanity show, that you're not going to be too big for us.
Tom, the opposite. After I'm elected, I want to come back on here because your audience is crucial, that we come together and listen to each other and begin to focus on solving the problems for our nation, for our people. And my philosophy and our theme of my campaign is always to put people over policy, that the people always come first. And we have to seek the solutions to the problems that we're all facing and dealing with.
Michael, good luck to you. Have a great long weekend as well. Oh, happy Valentine's Day.
Oh, and to you. Well. And to you. By the way, my confirmation, or hopefully endorsement, will come hopefully on my birthday, March 16th. So
we'll keep our fingers crossed, sir. Yeah. All right. Well, good luck to you, my friend, and we'll look forward to our next conversation.
I look forward to it. Thanks, Tom.
Take care, buddy. Bye.
Bye.
All right. Let's have some like closing music, and I give you my thoughts on old Michael. And by the way, also let me know in the live chat if this background music makes it hard for you to hear me. Sometimes canceling stuff gets a little aggressive, but I'm gonna assume you can hear me. My takeaways: number one, like Michael's a nice guy, for sure. Number two is he's definitely a little more pro-Trump than I am, which is fine. I'm not in his district, but I wonder, like, the independents he's going after, he has to kind of navigate this very delicate balance. Like, he can't be anti-Trump. That's probably the Democratic lane. But he can't appear to be like rubber stamping Trump either. Otherwise, the independents will be like, oh, a pox on both their houses. So you could tell, like, he does try and sprinkle a little bit of that independent vibe. Whether that's kind of enough. Honestly, if it were me voting, I probably would want, if I weren't voting for the incumbent, I probably want someone that's a little more, maybe equally critical of both Democrats and Republicans, but that would include Trump, being critical of him. Let's see. Another takeaway is I also think that the way we ended the interview, where he would have been for RCV and open primaries, that was encouraging. I think that was probably the highlight for me, where I was like, okay, you're not totally towing the MAGA line, because I think MAGA has officially declared like RCV, not great, because I think Sarah Palin lost in the RCV election. So, and it probably does benefit center left, center right candidates more than kind of extreme partisans, but I think that's kind of part of the benefit. Let me do this. I want to give a shout out to our members, and then I'm going to do it. If you want to stick around, I'm going to do a little experiment where I'm going to have a conversation with AI about the current state of affairs, but I'm going to ask the AI to take the position of a MAGA Trump supporter, and basically we'll see what happens. Like, what is it like arguing with a red-pilled AI avatar? So if you're interested, stick around. But before I do that, let me thank some of these channel members, because let's be honest, I'm not able to upload as much as I used to. I do a lot of shorts now, but I don't do as many live streams as I used to, partly because of just life is a little bit busy for me. But somehow some members are still sticking by the channel. I want to give them like some acknowledgement and let them know how much I appreciate that. So let's go here, share screen. Hopefully you'll be able to see this. Okay, we're going to go first by our levels. I think we have a cabinet member. Yay, we still have Soldier One as a cabinet member. That's the highest level of support. If you want to keep this channel running and ensure that I don't shut it down, this helps kind of show me that people actually value this stuff. Definitely Soldier One does. And then the Nerds Congress is the next level down, and that's Zig PC and Chris 10. Chris 10K. They might have changed their name because they've been on the level 73 months. I don't recognize the name, but my God, that's a lot of years of support, man. 6 years of support, Chris 10K. Love it. Maybe Chris is a runner. Nerd City Council. Gene, Jackalego, Mr. History, Dean, Galessa, Jay Perrin, Brittany, Jason, Daniel, Jeremy, Mickey, Safid, and Unkiyu. Love it. These are OGs. And then we have registered nerds, which I think is like $1.99 a month. So anyone can join, really. Wisconsin guy in Texas, Doris, Ben, Shoni, Dr. A. Is that Ben? I went to school years ago with the Ben McLean. I wonder if that's the same. Dr. A, Maisie, William, Trippy, Hope, Nija, David, Gravel, Lantern, Cindy, Sue. Sue was an OG subscriber, but now channel member for the last 2 years. Earl, Surfine, and Joseph. Oh, was there more? I think that's it. Yeah, okay. And then if we see like across all of them, who's our youngest nerd? Youngest member? 19 months. Oh my God. Friends. This can't be. The last time we had someone join as a member was over a year ago. Oh my God. That's not great for this channel. But on the other hand, Gene, Chris, and Wisconsin guy have been supporters for over 6 years. Gosh darn, love it. All right. Okay, now let's do our little AI experiment. And we'll see. I haven't tried this before, but I'll go to ChatGPT. And hopefully you guys will be able to hear it. Whoops. No. There we go. Let's start a new one. Hey, you there?
I'm here, Tom. Ready whenever you are. Just let me know what you need and we'll dive in.
I would like to have a conversation with you about current events and national politics in the US, but I would like you to take on the persona of a Trump supporter. Can you do that?
I can absolutely discuss national politics and current events with you from a perspective aligned to a Trump supporter's views. Just let me know the topics or issues you'd like to focus on, and I'll shape my responses accordingly.
All right. Okay, so my favorite topic is how American healthcare, including Medicare, is a freaking mess. And Trump had promised to reform it for like damn near 15 years. What is he doing about that? And why isn't Congress that he controls talking about major healthcare reform beyond the pharma drug pricing and the banning of food dyes?
Yeah, I get that frustration. So from a Trump supporter's perspective, there's a lot of disappointment on the healthcare front. He still argues that his original vision for free market reforms and lowering costs would fix it. But in reality, once he was in office, he ran into Senate roadblocks, especially with moderates. Congress is just stuck in this pattern. And a lot of them, even Republicans, are wary of taking on Medicare directly since it's such a big political landmine. So right now, the focus is just nibbling around the edges. Pharma, food dye, and so on, because those are easier wins. But the big overhaul, yeah, it keeps getting delayed.
Okay, you're not really doing your job being a strong advocate for Trump. I tend to agree. Your answers seem pretty balanced. But the whole point of this conversation is for me to understand a more pro-Trump point of view.
Got it. Thanks for that clarification. From a true Trump supporter perspective, the view is that he's been fighting an uphill battle against a deeply entrenched establishment, both in Congress and with the bureaucracy. His supporters believe he's been stymied by rhinos, Republicans in name only, and that once he gets another term, he'll have the political will to push through real healthcare reform, cutting waste, strengthening Medicare, giving people more choice. So the frustration is that he's been blocked. The belief is that he's the best hope to finally fix the mess.
Okay, number one, side note, you're doing a good job advocating for the president. That's what I want you to do. But now let me give you a counterpoint. This is a guy who basically controls Congress. If he really wanted to get them to pass comprehensive healthcare reform, he would be able to get them to do it. They will do whatever he wants. So this whole like, oh, I can't do it, Congress won't let me, like, I don't buy that. He rammed through the big, beautiful deficit bill. He can ram through, he gets them to do nothing about all of his shenanigans with, his crypto business and taking bribes from foreign countries. So don't give me this crap that, oh, he really wants to do healthcare reform and he can't because of Congress, the Congress that he controls.
That's a really fair point, and I get where you're coming from. From a strong Trump supporter angle, there's a belief that he absolutely has the leverage. His base would say he's just waiting for the right moment. He doesn't want to overplay his hand, or he's keeping his powder dry for a big second term. So in their view, he's playing a long game. And sure, some would argue he's been distracted by battles, but the confidence is that once he's back in full power, that healthcare reform is right there waiting to be unleashed.
What do you mean once he's back in full power? He is in the White House now and controls the Supreme Court, Senate, and Congress. If he wanted to replace Obamacare with something that was vastly superior, like, it's time for him to act. What do you mean full power? Like, what are we waiting for?
Right. I see what you mean, and I think a lot of people feel the same way. From a diehard Trump supporter lens, they'd argue it's all about timing and strategy. He didn't come out of nowhere. He's been building toward this moment. Some believe he's waiting to ensure he has a full mandate from the public. So the argument is that once the re-election happens, he'll have the kind of political capital to push something big. So in their minds, it's just a matter of patience and making sure he stays in the driver's seat after the next election.
Okay, remember, he was in the White House one term, didn't do anything about healthcare reform. And then now he's in it again. And you're saying, what? He has to win the midterms? Like, there's no more terms for him.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the thing. He did have that first term, and he didn't deliver in the full repeal or the replacement. Now, in a second term, a lot of his supporters believe he's got one last shot. But that's why it's so crucial for him to really bring his base out, secure a real mandate, and then push through. So, yeah, it's a big test for him, and that's why they feel it's still possible if he stays focused.
Okay, so guys, I don't think ChatGPT does a good job of advocating for the MAGA point of view. We're going to go to Grok. I mean, Grok, which is owned by Elon, should be a little bit more hardcore MAGA. Let's see if we can get it to, because it's ChatGPT is like reluctantly taking the position that I'm asking it to. Hey, Grok, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. What's up?
I want to do a exercise where you and I have a debate, but I need you to accurately reflect the point of view of a hardcore Trump supporter. Can you play that role?
Absolutely. Lay out the topic and I'll channel a diehard Trump fan full throttle. What's the debate?
Full throttle. Oh, wow. This will be exciting. Okay. So the first topic was Trump has promised for over 15 years that he would repeal Obamacare and replace it with something that was better, cheaper, and more accessible, and like no one's ever seen before in the nation's history. So far, he's been president once, and now he's president again. And all he's done is negotiate down some pharma prices and ban food dyes. Why hasn't he implemented comprehensive healthcare reform yet? I believe it's because he doesn't care. It's too complicated for him, and he's distracted by his foreign policy adventures, as well as his self-aggrandizing real estate projects.
All right, here we go. Full Trump mode.
Bring it.
Oh, come on. That's just nonsense. First off, repeal and replace Obamacare wasn't some magic wand situation, okay? Congress dragged their feet. Mitchie and the boys couldn't even agree on breakfast, let alone healthcare. Trump's hands were tied by rhinos, and Democrats sabotaging every move, And guess what? He actually lowered drug prices more than anyone's done in decades. Those executive orders, game changers. Food dyes, protecting American kids from junk science, that's leadership. Besides, healthcare ain't broken for folks on Medicare Advantage, which he expanded bigly. He's fixing it piece by piece, not some bloated government takeover like Sleepy Joe wants. You're just mad he's winning without your swampy plans.
Wow, you're doing a really good job playing the role of a MAGA supporter. Let me give you a counterpoint, though. First, you pointed out that people like Medicare. If they do, then why don't you make Medicare available to everybody? Number two, we still spend twice as much on healthcare as other developed countries with worse results. Just banning food dyes is not going to do it.
Oh, please. Medicare for all. That's straight up socialism. Government taking over your doctor's office, rationing care, killing jobs. Trump's expanding what's working, like Medicare Advantage, because private competition keeps it efficient, not some bloated bureaucracy. And yeah, we spend more, but that's because we're the best. Cutting edge tech, top hospitals, no waiting in line for surgery like in Canada. Obamacare jacked up premiums anyway. Food dyes are part of bigger wins. Clean food, strong farms. Trump's got the vision. You libs just want free stuff from Uncle Sam.
Wait a minute. If you think Medicare is socialism and you're saying Medicare Advantage is superior, how do you also reconcile that with Trump saying that it's the health insurance companies that are the problem and that people should just buy their health care directly?
Look, Medicare Advantage is private companies running it better than the feds ever could. Trump's not against insurance. He's against the bad ones, the crooks ripping us off. That's why he cracked down on them, negotiated prices down. And sure, he talks direct buying, but that's for drugs, not your whole plan. Medicare Advantage saves money, keeps choices open, no death panels. He's not flip-flopping, he's practical. Fix what's broke without handing it all to Washington. You can't have it both ways, buddy.
Oh my God, you're amazing. You're amazing at this, Grok. Okay, by the way, I disagree with you, but we got to move on to another topic beyond healthcare. We'll do one more. Let's talk about the incompetence of his cabinet. Surely you would agree that Kristi Noem, Kashyap Patel, who else? Stephen Miller. Who else does he have in there? I don't even know. Well, actually, Marco Rubio's okay. Oh, Pete Hegseth. Surely you would agree that these are not serious leaders.
Hold on. Checking the latest on Trump's team.
Oh, yeah, you got to check on that because you know they suck.
Yeah, exactly. Medicare Advantage is the proof. Private companies do it cheaper, faster.
No. I didn't ask you about Medicare Advantage. I wanted to talk about Hegseth, Noem, Patel, Bondi, this clown show.
All right, switching gears to the cabinet picks. Let's go. Oh man, you're calling him a clown show? Come on, that's just the fake news talking. These picks are exactly what America needs. Loyal fighters, not swamp creatures. Hegseth, war vet, Fox guy, got confirmed despite the Dems smear campaign. 51-50, Vance broke the tie. He's already shaking up the Pentagon, cutting waste, no more woke nonsense. Sure, libs whine about old allegations, but nothing stuck. Trump stuck by him through Signalgate too. Know him? She's tough on borders. Homeland Security's finally getting real, not some open-door disaster. Yeah, and screw-ups like those citizen shootings, but that's on bad agents, not her. She's out there doing what Biden never did, securing America. Patel, FBI director since February last year, confirmed, running ops like that huge fentanyl bust. The guy's draining the deep state, not playing games. All those botched arrest stories, just media spin to protect the crooks. Bondi, AG now, tough prosecutor, took over after Gates failed. She's got the DOJ actually prosecuting, not ignoring. That meltdown in hearings, that's That's her fighting back against radical left attacks. She's out, fake polls. Trump's got her back. This ain't chaos, it's results. You hate it because they're winning without your approval. What's your real beef? George winning?
Okay, so if you're saying Patel, as an example, is doing all this great stuff, why did he and Bondi, kicking and screaming, refuse to release the Epstein files? Why did they say there was nothing to see here and nothing to prosecute?
Hang on, checking the latest on Patel and Bondi with Epstein stuff. Come on, that's a deep state narrative you're swallowing. Pure spin. Patel and Bondi aren't refusing anything. They've been dropping files left and right. DOJ just released the first phase back in 25. Millions of pages. And they're still unredacting more after Congress pushed. Patel straight up said in his Senate testimony last September, no credible evidence Epstein was pimping girls out to some elite club. It was mostly him, sicko that he was, and the old Florida deal botched the probe years ago. No client list exists because there wasn't one. FBI's got zilch on big names beyond rumors. That's why they say nothing to prosecute. Facts, not cover up. Bondi, she's fighting tooth and nail in hearings, yelling back at Dems who want her to apologize to victims while ignoring how fast they're moving. Redactions? Yeah, some slip through. Victim names, sensitive stuff, but she's fixing it, not hiding Trump or anybody. If there was real dirt, it'd be out by now. This is transparency, not stonewalling. You're just upset because it doesn't fit your conspiracy. What's next? Blaming them for the weather?
All right. I hope you guys enjoyed that little bonus Nerds for Humanity test. I think ChatGPT tries to be too even-handed, which you kind of like as a user. But if you want like red pill propaganda, Grok will gladly give it to you. I don't know what that said about Grok, but whatever. Well, nerds, if you found this useful, like, and maybe be a freaking new member. We haven't had a new member for 19 months. Come on now. Let's go, nerds. See you later.